Welcome to your Mama's world. Welcome to your Mama's world. Welcome to your Mama's world. Stories we will tell. Stories from around the world. Stories for every boy and girl. Welcome to your Mama's world. Welcome to your Mama's world. Welcome to your Mama's world. Stories we will tell. Welcome to your Mama's World, the Jelly Moose's Cafe, and today we have dinner time story time because I wasn't available today for lunchtime story time. So, what story is on the agenda for today? It is Freedom on the Menu, written by Carol Boston Weatherford, and paintings by Jerome Lagaragu, and it's Freedom on the Menu, the Greensboro Sit-In. All right. Just about every week, Mama and I went shopping downtown. I loved having her all to myself in the afternoon. Whenever it was hot or we got tired, we'd walk over to the snack bar in the Five and Dime store. We'd stand as we sipped our cokes because we weren't allowed to sit at the lunch counter. Once I watched a girl swivel a stool as she spooned a banana split. In the empty seat beside her was a purse, almost exactly like mine. Can I have a banana split? I begged Mama. Not here, Connie, said Mama. I'll fix you one at home. It won't be the same, I grumbled. All over town, signs told Mama and me where we could and couldn't go. Signs on water fountains, swimming pools, movie theaters, and even bathrooms. Everybody I knew obeyed the signs, except my great aunt Gertie from New York. Once, when she visited us, she drank from a whites only fountain and said real loud, I ain't never heard of colored water. Have you, Connie? Then she lifted me up so I could take a sip. I looked up from the fountain. Y'all better not do that, a man scolded. I started to say, sorry, mister, but Aunt Gertie just huffed. I'm too old for these silly rules. It was real hot that day, but the man walked away without even taking a drink. There weren't any signs up in the Five and Dime, but we still knew how it was. Most people didn't expect change anytime soon. But my daddy, he thought different. Dr. King's coming to town, he told us one morning. Who's sick? I asked. He's not that kind of doctor, Connie, Daddy laughed. He's a minister who's working to make things better for us, said Daddy. So we can go anywhere we please, said Mama. Like the lunch counter? I asked. Yep, said Daddy, and other places too. Later that week, our whole family went to hear Dr. King preach at the college chapel. I didn't really understand all of his speech, but I liked his booming voice. It sounded as if he believed God was on our side. Every few minutes, Mama said, Amen. And when Dr. King sat down, everyone stood and clapped for a long time. Soon after that, my brother and sister joined the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. Everyone called it the NAACP. They let me tag along as they went door to door helping people to sign up to vote. I've never voted in my life, said a white haired lady leaning on a cane. Or will I get to vote for the president? Yes, ma'am, I said. My brother wants to be president when he's all the way grown. Well, you tell him he's got my vote, she chuckled. And to hold on to those big dreams, she said, handing me her voter registration form. Yes, ma'am, I'll tell him, I promised, thinking about my own dreams too. Times are changing, she said, waving as I left. Then one day, Mama and I went shopping downtown. We stopped at the snack bar just like always, and I tugged at Mama's sleeve. Look over at the lunch counter. We know those boys. There sat four of brothers, friends from AT&T College. Do they know they're in the wrong place? I whispered. Well, some rules have to be broken, Mama whispered back. I heard one of them order coffee and a donut, please. I'm sorry. We can't serve your kind, said the blonde haired waitress, wringing her hands. Boys didn't budge. Don't y'all understand English? a kitchen worker said. Going over to the snack bar, she hissed, and stop making trouble here. The manager tapped his foot and jutted out his chin. They can sit there forever for all I care. Old white lady came up to the boys. I'm so proud of you, she said, clear as a bell, so everyone could hear. I wish someone had done it sooner. The waitress kept wiping and rewiping the counter and refilling the salt and pepper shakers, sugar pourers, and the napkin holders. Suddenly, the manager came back with a tall policeman. Let's go, Connie, said Mama. The manager shooed us right out of the store and then put a closed sign in the window. I couldn't wait to tell brother. Why did your friends do that? I asked. If we can spend money at a store, said brother, it's only fair that we should be able to eat at the store's lunch counter. I guess so, I said. You think it'll work? Well, sometimes it's important just to try, said Daddy, rubbing his chin. The next day, Daddy showed me the newspaper. The headline said, Negro students stand up by sitting down. They sat 4 hours, said Daddy, peering over his newspaper. I'd be too hungry to wait that long, I said. Well, Connie, they didn't really want food, said Daddy. They wanted to be allowed to get it, same as if they were white, and to be treated fairly. By Friday, we heard on the news now that hundreds more had joined the sit ins. The protests are growing, I told Daddy. I'm joining the sit ins, Brother said, bursting into the room. And I'm going to pick it downtown, said Sister, tomorrow. I want to go too, I said. I'm plenty big enough to hold a sign, and I know I can sit. Well, it's good that you want to help, said Daddy, but Connie, you're too young for these things. I never get to do anything important, I pouted. You can help us make picket signs, said Sister. "Oh, that's very important." The next morning, I handed Sister my little flag for her to carry. We'll tell you everything when we get home, Brother promised. Turns out, I saw the protest on TV. Hundreds of people walked up and down the sidewalks in front of stores, restaurants, and movie theaters. I saw my own sister carrying a picket sign, and there was the back of Brother's head at the lunch counter. My own brother! I'm just so proud of them, Daddy said. Me too, I said. I just pray that there's no trouble, Mama fretted. After a while, I watched the news on TV almost as much as Mama and Daddy. One night, I saw a report on the sit ins. That doesn't look like downtown, I said. Well, Connie, the sit ins have spread all over the South, said Daddy. Just then, the phone rang. I answered it. Daddy, it's Sister. She got arrested at the lunch counter. She's in jail. Sister, who always got A's in school, who hardly ever got into trouble, who was what Mama called the mule stubborn. Daddy raced to the police station, but Sister wouldn't let him get her out of jail. He told me how the students kept chanting, jail not bail, jail not bail, jail not bail. We can't just leave Sister in here with the bad guys, I pleaded. She's made up her mind, Connie, said Mama, wiping a tear. She wants to stay with the other students. In a few days, Sister came home. Promise me you'll stop picketing, I begged. I can't do that, she said, hugging me tight. Now, instead of shopping downtown, we had to order from the Sears catalog. Mama and I lived through the big, thick catalog together, and she even let me help pick out things. But we both knew it wasn't the same. How long before the sit ins are over, Mama? I asked. Till folks get what they want, said Mama. That summer, Mama, Daddy, and I finally went downtown. When we passed Woolworths, I heard someone shout, They're serving them! Daddy stopped so fast that the brakes screeched, and Mama and I jolted forward. We parked and ran to the lunch counter. There sat the woman who worked in the restaurant's kitchen. They were all dressed up fancy and eating egg salad. I can't even stand the smell of egg salad, but I stood and watched them take every bite. It's pretty good, I said. Daddy and I shared big grins. The next day, brother, sister, and I made a special trip downtown. Brother wore a suit and tie. We girls wore hats and white gloves. At the lunch counter, I climbed up on a stool next to them. We'll have three hot dogs, three french fries, two coffees, one Coke, and one banana split, please, I told the blonde haired waitress. Sister and brother sipped coffee, and I twisted on my stool while we waited for our meals. Our food soon arrived. As I ate, the waitress plopped an extra cherry on a mound of whipped cream. She still looked nervous, but she smiled at me. It was the best banana split I had ever had. All right, so this is taken from the Greensboro Four. Back in during the civil rights movement, they would go and they would sit in the at lunch counters. This was back in 1960. They were from North Carolina. Their names were Franklin McCain, David Richmond, Joseph McNeil, and Ezel Blair. He is now known as Jabril Kazan. Um, I didn't grow up in segregation as blatant as it was in some places. I did grow up in the South, in Virginia, but I do remember growing up, there were unspoken rules. Um, we knew that when we went to the doctor's office, black people sat on one side, white people sat on the other side. Even when my younger brother was born, and he was born in 1972, black babies were on one side of the nursery and white babies were on the other side of the nursery. So we were still very much segregated. Even at the parade, white people stood on one side of the street and black people stood on the other side of the street. It was very much unspoken and unwritten rules that we just followed until probably about maybe the late 70s, early 80s before it actually changed. I remember going to the fair. We used to have a fair nearby every October. And when we went to school, we would get these big orange tickets. All of the students got to go to the fair free. We would get our free tickets from school. And it was never discussed, but all the white kids went to the fair on Tuesdays, and all of the black kids went to the fair on Thursdays. Never knew why, just never discussed. That's just how it always was. And I was watching um oh god, Oprah Winfrey and Danny Glover movie, and the name of it escapes me right now. Beloved, thank you, Spirit. Beloved. I was watching Beloved, and Danny Glover and Oprah Winfrey's character was going to the fair, and he said they were going on Colored People Day, which was a Thursday, and so it was still trickling down back in the 70s, Colored People Day at the fair. So, with this freedom on the menu, our children stepped up and stepped to the plate to do things that people would have said they were too young to do. When we look at Malcolm X and Dr. King, we look at them because they were so mature for their age and they were such freedom fighters. We look at them as if they were older. They weren't. Dr. King was 38, 37, 38 when he was assassinated. Malcolm X was 39. So they were not elders. They were not elderly. They were young men. And they were definitely young men when they started fighting social injustices. Now, the only problem that I have with the sit-ins, and I know that they did what they had to do, is I don't think I would have eaten the food. I don't think I would have fought so hard to be in places um, where they really didn't want me, and then all of a sudden they say, "Okay, well, come on in." I'd have been very, very leery of eating the food. Even in today's time, when we go to restaurants, we always say, don't piss off your waiter or don't piss off the chef or the cook because you're going to get a wad, in your food. And as much as I know that's what our ancestors did on the plantation, I know that the descendants of the enslavers certainly probably did the same thing at these lunch counters. So I think I may have protested in other places, but restaurants? Mm, no, I don't think so. So look, I hope you have enjoyed Freedom on the Menu, the Greensboro sit-ins, and I hope you're enjoying these stories. I do these stories for kids because, again, these are not something stories that are going to be taught to them in school. They're not going to learn about these stories, these historical stories. And if certain people go into the White House come January, all of these books will be taken out of the school. And unless you go to the library or order them from Amazon or wherever and really read them to your kids are going to miss out on a lot of valuable information. They need to know what happened in the past so when it happens again in the future, and it will, they will be prepared. It won't catch them by surprise. They'll know what they need to do and what they may need not to do. I don't know, but we have to prepare them. Um, so thank you again for joining me for dinner time, story time, and until next time, I will see you later. Peace, fam.